Hey now, Adam Reaver, fu-tone.com here saying check out Nez Says.
Hey, and we're live. You're here on Nez Says, and today is Thursday, December 10th of 2020. We're here where musicians come together and inspire each other to play more guitar. Ty, how you doing? I hear you got some weather problems down there.
We're having some interference here in the southeast, but here nonetheless, and I'm so excited to be with you on a Thursday night. As always, Dave, thank you for hosting this tonight, and our distinguished guest for part two, Mr. Larry Mitchell. And many of you know Larry, award-winning producer, engineer, performer, touring the world with Tracy Chapman, Billy Squier, Rick Ocasek. He's even played with Dave, our good friend, 7/8, Jay Hannon. We're so happy to have Larry here. He's released 11 solo records. And last week we talked about one of those records. Tonight we're going to talk about another. We're so lucky to have Larry. He's been a huge personal influence on me as a player. And he's been a close personal friend of you, Dave, for decades. So we're so happy that Larry has agreed to join us for the second week in a row. Tonight, Mr. Larry Mitchell. Larry, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Real quick, let's just say hello to everyone in the chat so we can get that out of the way. 7/8 is here. Hello. Ben Coombs is here.
Hi, Ben. Hi, Jay.
Dan of New Jersey. Sean Zimmerman. Thomas Santiago.
Your dad's here.
Contemplator. I got it right. Contemplator. Let's see.
Rosie.
I'm going in order.
Sorry.
Edwin Crane is here. Sabrina Lamb is here. Hello, Sabrina.
Hi, Sabrina.
Hey, Lynn. Hey, Lynn. How you doing? Rosie McPherson is here. My father, Richard Nesdall, is here.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad.
Hello,
And
Mr. Nesdall.
Guitar Man 45 is here.
Guitar Man 45. He's here every week, Dave. We're so glad he's here.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve Carmichael is here. Very nice to see you, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
And we'll say hello to more people as they come on. So, hello everybody. We're going to be talking about Larry's acoustic EP called "The Light Within."
Amazing record.
Light
you.
Cloud Spirit is here. Hello. I think you're the first. This is the first time I've seen you here, so welcome. It's I've listened to this record many times since I've had it, and it's probably, I would say, some of the best writing that Larry has ever written, for lack of better words.
Wow.
I've been with Larry for every record except the first one, his debut record called Larry Mitchell, and man, every record is fantastic, but every record gets better and better and better. You know, they just, as it goes chronologically in order, he just gets better. It's amazing.
Thank you, Dave.
It's like he's like a good red wine with age, smooth, just everything about it. Everything about it. Larry's going to play a couple songs for us during the show tonight. We're going to talk about that acoustic guitar in his hands. We're going to talk about some of his electric guitars, some more about his gear, how he goes about recording stuff. You know, maybe a little bit of the recording process for his two latest records, EPs. We'll stay on as long as possible and try to give you guys a good show tonight. How about that?
Sounds good, Dave.
Well,
All right.
any conversation with Larry Mitchell is a good time.
Yeah. And again, just ahead of time, there are some storms in the southeast area, so If anything happens with our audio or video, please let us know so that we can try to fix it if we can. Thanks, everybody. And all right, so let's get going.
Correct.
What do you want to talk about first?
How you doing, Larry? First of all, how was your day?
Oh, my day was interesting. It was just doing this stuff. I had to go to the post office. I had to get gas in my car. I had to go to the dry cleaners. Me and my mom drove around looking for a dentist. You know, regular stuff.
Every time you say anything that has to do with car, I think it's really funny because for a lot of my life, I didn't know you to drive. You didn't drive. So,
all right, so I got my driver's license. I was 35. 35?
Yeah, and just before, so everyone knows, because a lot of people don't know, Larry Mitchell for a lot of his life lived in the greater New York City area. And when you live in New York City or just around New York City, you don't need a car because there's trains, there's subways, everything is so close you can walk to it. There's a lot of ways to get to where you need to go. So Larry didn't need, for all intents and purposes, he didn't need to drive.
There's a lot of people that live in New York City that never drive. And I would, I'm just gonna say it. If you have friends who come to visit you from New York City, and they go, "Oh yeah, I got my license back," right out of high school or something like that, don't let them drive your car. They haven't driven. They haven't driven.
Yeah, since they got their road test, probably.
Yeah, and they think they're still there. No, don't. We did when I lived in San Diego. A friend came that lived in Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, and she was coming to run a marathon, and she's like, "Oh, I can drive." Yeah, no.
It's so funny. Rosie says, and you can't run over people. I'll tell you something, Rosie. I don't know if you know this story. You probably do. But when I met Larry, I was in my early 20s. And I had had my license since I was 17. And I've been driving quite a long time. But even people that drive still run people over. And Larry has the car mark on his rear end to let people know that I ran him over.
And just let everybody know that you hit me.
I hit him with my car. Yes, I did.
Right after I got out of the car. I had just gotten out of the car.
And I'll tell you another one. Just recently, Desiree was standing behind me while I was in my car, and she happened to just be walking, and I put my car in reverse instead of drive and hit her with my car.
Oh my God.
Dang.
And when I say I hit someone, I mean, it was just a love tap. It wasn't like I ran anyone over. I hit people. I don't get into car accidents. I just hit people. That's it. And I think that's why I have so many physical problems, in my life, is because I'm getting punished for hitting people.
Wow.
Why am I laughing? I feel guilty about laughing.
I want to give a shout out to Ben Coombs and say thanks for not hitting me at NAMM. It was random saw Ben at NAMM show walking across the street, and somebody yelled out, it was Ben. Car full of friends and stuff.
Beer?
But no.
Car full of beer? Yeah. Karma is definitely getting me, Ben.
We're so happy Ben Coombs is here. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, that's right. Sabrina, if I ever meet you, do not get anywhere near me in a car, when I'm in a car. Behind the driver's seat, anyway. Unless you're in the car. If you're in the car, you're safe.
Yeah, but when you get out of the car, 5 minutes later or less, you could get hit.
That's right.
Dave will watch you get out of the car, close the door, walk and cross in front of them, and then he will hit you.
Guitar
or
Man
behind,
45.
obviously now.
Guitar Man 45 says there should be a commercial with that guy from Farmers Insurance.
Wow.
All right, Larry. So first of all, tell us about that guitar in your hands.
This guitar?
Yeah.
This is a 1929 Godin. No. This is a Godin Grand Concert, and I got started out. I was playing some back when I was an Ibanez artist. They had a thin model Ibanez called the SCN 500, that I begged them to make actually, and then they discontinued it. And then when I kind of parted ways with Ibanez, I was looking for something a little different, and I got turned on to. I was traveling, and I would only do one acoustic song at shows, and so I would just borrow instead of taking a guitar. I would just borrow a guitar wherever I was in, whatever city, and I'd say 9 times out of 10 it was a Godin, and they had one called the ACS, which was the Slim ACS Slim. So it's more of like an electric guitar player's thing, which was good. And I had one of those first when I got a Godin. And then I got turned on to the Encores. And the Encores are really cool. They're their lower end nylon string, but it feels good and it sounds really good. And then I was in Germany maybe 2 years ago, 3 years
Yeah,
ago.
it was
I
2
can't
years
remember.
ago. Yeah.
And there's a company called Trios, and they lent me a nylon string. They're the Godin reps in Germany, and what showed up was a grand concert, which is very different because it's more like a 12 fret nylon string guitar. So you can't go. There's a fret missing up here, and it's a wider like a classical. And at first I was like, oh no, I won't be able to play this. But I kept playing it, and I got so used to it. And it also has these pickup models in it. I mean, microphone models in it. So if I play, like this is just, there's your piezo sound. But you can blend in different pickup models. So here is it halfway. Here's it all the way. No pickup models. So if I change it, see, it warms it up a little bit. Can you hear that at all?
Yeah, sure do.
So here's, I think this is a U87. And this is like a pencil mic. I forgot which one they use. And I think this is my favorite live. Without it? With it. And then here's the last one. I don't hear as much a difference as it should be. I'm not sure what's going on.
There we go.
Yeah. So. There's right there. The blend. Can you hear it?
Sure do.
Actually, let me take off the microphone. That'll help. Yeah, I forgot this microphone in the room is picking up because this guitar is pretty much hollow, so you'll get the sound of the guitar without the like this is no electronics at all. So, but then blend it in. And if I take that microphone off, you hear the mic models a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So I started. So I got one of these, the Grand Concert, and I've been playing it a ton. And I think last somebody mentioned the fret markers. So normally it's just like a regular classical. There's no fret markers. These are what you call neck illusions. So they're individual frets that slide on. And these are my signature turquoise horses. So they're turquoise.
That's beautiful. So that's there. That's not one piece that goes on the whole thing. That's just all on each fret, so it doesn't come off, right?
Right. You have to put one on each fret. You
Yeah, that's
measure out your
great.
fretboard, and and they're like, I don't know, maybe $30, $20 or something like that. You can do your custom things, names. Steve Vai has a series of signature ones. Jennifer Batten does. I just have just these.
Talk
I like
about
this.
Steve. Talk about Steve Vai real quick. You mentioned that Ibanez nylon that you had them make for you, that you begged for them to make you. Mm-hmm. So you begged them to make it for you, and they gave it to Steve Vai.
Steve has one.
Yeah, I know. He's got a natural one, and if you watch any of his videos, it's plain to see it's right there in the back on a stand.
Oh yeah. I heard rumor that Steve's working on an acoustic record too.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah,
That'd be amazing.
yeah. But
Wow.
just rumor.
Larry, I know a lot of guys that are working guys that are traveling. They play Godin guitars.
Yeah.
They play what you have. Tell us more about Godin. I know that they're out of Canada. I know that they're affiliated with the Seagull brand. Tell us more about what they're doing and why so many working musicians are turning to Godin guitars.
One is they're great guitarists. They sound great, they play great, and they're very consistent. And then they have several brands under their corporation. I think I don't know all the details. I think some of them are people within the company that start their own company and they help support it. And then I believe that they have different names, different brands for different qualities. Because they have a really high-end, full-on acoustic guitar. This is, if you're an acoustic guitar purist, this would probably not be your thing. It's a thin body. It sounds okay, unplugged. It's not like playing a really high-end acoustic unplugged, but that's not what it's for. This is meant to plug in and play an arena to a bar. And so there's no sound hole, so you won't get any feedback. Even though this is geared towards like a classical width, you can still an electric player can still play it and have fun with it. And even like I said, I started playing. I have two of the Encores. I started playing their lower end model Encore, and it wasn't lower end to me. It was nice. I just happen to really dig this now in the mic models, and there's a quack thing that goes on when you're playing acoustic guitars with piezos. That sometimes you have to try and EQ out, and this with the mic models helps it tremendously for me. Mm-hmm. And oddly enough, I grew up in the teen years in Far Rockaway, Queens, and the local guitar hero from Far Rockaway is Steve Stevens from Billy Idol's band and quite a few other things. And Steve has been playing Godin for a long time, and Steve is who turned me on to Nags guitars. So I didn't mean to just to copy Steve, but he turned me on to Nags. And then when I was looking for a new thin-bodied electric acoustic guitar, Godin was definitely the first choice. So
Very cool. Now, I remember you having a black one as well. Do you still have that guitar? Or
I traded the black one for another Encore.
okay.
Yeah, so I don't have the black one. I have two Encores in this. Mm-hmm. So the reason I have three is normally I leave one up in Seattle. I think there's one still up in Seattle area, Tacoma. And the other one was going to be left. Is that you? Is that me?
That's not me.
I don't know if I have anything on. Nope, it's not me. Okay. And then actually, I do have access to a black one. A friend of mine, Joe Gable in New Mexico, has a black ACS Slim. He bought it after he played mine, And so when I go to New Mexico, a lot of times I play that one. So it's like I still have it. I still have one.
Very cool.
But they're great guitars. They're really great guitars for what they're designed for.
Yeah, I had one here for quite a while.
Yeah. So interesting thing about this guitar. So when I was making the record, the acoustic record, the Light Within, a lot of the sound that inspired the record were played on this guitar, either with this little box called a Tonewood amp, which lets me sit on the couch and have reverb and plate reverb and delay and stuff like that just coming out of the guitar. No, not plugged into anything else but this. Or I was plugged into my Axe FX and I got sounds like I do live. So when I got ready to record the record, I was like, I have to do a guide track to make sure I stay focused on what inspired the songs. So I would do a guide track and then build a song or build a track. So I'd have the song and I would play it to a click or to like a percussion groove, and do the whole song that way. And I did a couple of songs. I did a quick guide solo. And then I went and tracked a lot of the guitar with, this is a 1960 Martin steel string that I have silk and steel strings on. Because I have a hand problem, so playing steel string for too long definitely is not advised for me. No more than about a half hour a day. And then this is a 1966 Martin nylon string that I got in Arizona a while ago. And this is great. The action's a little high on it. But the solo to Father is on this guitar. And maybe there's one other song where the solo's on this guitar. But it's a great guitar. I usually leave it tuned down to D. That way I can put a capo on it and get the action a little lower. This needs a neck reset. So I gotta do that. But, so when I was trying to do the solos, I kept doing solos and then listening to, and I have another nylon string, an Ibanez prototype that's got really great action. But it was a prototype of a not, it was made at the custom shop, but it's not a prototype of a really high-end acoustic. It's a prototype of a not so high-end acoustic guitar. But it played amazing because it was made at the custom shop. So I can play on that guitar very comfortably, but it didn't sound as good. And there's something also going wrong with the electronics and stuff like that. So it didn't sound as good plugged in. So I kept going back to the original scratch tracks, and like for The Color of Sound, for Desert Dreams, and Popcorn and Chocolate, that's most of the main guitar is this guitar plugged into the Axe FX and then tracked that way. Now, as a producer engineer, I don't necessarily advise anyone to plug in an acoustic guitar and track, especially if you want like a real authentic acoustic guitar sound happening. I would say mic it. And I have great microphones. I have some really good, got the Townsend Labs. I got I have some Riven mics from AEA. I have a Bronner. Some really great microphones. So what ended up happening was a lot of the support tracks on those songs are the two Martins, and then the main guitar ends up being plugged direct. So it was an interesting thing. It was, and I had to go back to let it go, and whatever feels right and sounds right works. So sorry.
A la Eddie Van Halen.
Okay. Ed's the man. Can't argue with Ed. There's people you don't argue with. Ed and Eric Johnson.
You can't.
You can't argue it. You know, they come and go. I'm gonna play this toy guitar I got at Walmart, and it's gonna be the main track. Okay. All right.
Larry, maybe a bit of a sidetrack question, but if we have a viewer tonight that says, "Hey, I've been primarily an electric guitar player my entire life, and I want to buy my first acoustic guitar," where do you advise he begin his journey to acquire an acoustic guitar?
I would have to ask what the budget is. First of all, the acoustic guitars that are really inexpensive these days, I think, are way better than the really expensive guitars than when I was coming up. It's just the quality, and that's another. We could talk about Jim Donahue changing the industry at another time, but there's a handful of people who went to oversee factories, from the high-end factories to the cheap factories, and I would have to say there's a handful of people are responsible for raising the quality of the cheapest instruments you can find, raising them to like, wow, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's actually really good. So, I don't know. Ibanez makes some really cool acoustic guitars. Godin has a lower end model. I don't know which brand it is. They came out with a couple of full size real acoustic guitars, but under a different brand name. And I remember playing them at NAMM, going, "Wow, this is really good," and being surprised at the price, at the list price. So the street prices was way. I just don't remember the brand. I mean, the brand mark that they had on it. There's so many really cool, inexpensive acoustic guitars to start.
Yamaha makes some amazing acoustic guitars at the $200 price range, $150 price range.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, they're really good. $200, you get a real top. It's really good stuff.
Yeah. What I will say,
I think one of the more inspiring things about Larry's acoustic record is how different it is from his other records. And you hear this completely different type of expression coming from Larry that's unexpected and inspiring. At the same time, I could see a lot of electric players being touched by that inspiration and saying, "Okay, how do I begin this acoustic journey to expand my musical vocabulary?" And then not knowing where to begin.
Yeah, like I said, you could start out if you're new to playing guitar and you get an acoustic guitar, you could start out with a lower end acoustic until you have an idea of what you like. And it's a catch-22, because part of what you start out with becomes what you like or what you're used to, and part of part of what you don't like. You start to go, I need lower action, or I need higher action, or but if you've been playing for a while, then I almost think you need to spend more time picking out an acoustic guitar than you do picking out an electric guitar. Because electric guitar is, it needs to sound good acoustically. It needs to feel good in your hands. It needs to sound good electrically. But there's a lot of components that are involved in it. But an acoustic guitar, you need to bond with. If you've been playing for a while, and I see this because I produce a lot of singer-songwriters, and songwriters will bond with a guitar because it's how when they sing, it's how it your guitar hits the top of the guitar, your voice hits the top of the guitar. It has to resonate well. If you have a bright voice and you pick a bright tinny acoustic guitar, it might not be the best combination. If you sing and you're right in this mid-range thing, and you pick an acoustic guitar that's right there, you're fighting it constantly. But I've seen people do really great by picking a guitar that has a dip, right where the voice is. And I don't really know. I'm not around them long enough to know whether the voice found that dip and developed there, or just that's they played the guitar and sang and go, oh yeah, this works. My voice sounds really good with it. So from producing singer songwriters, I know that I have a bunch of guitars here, and I produce singer songwriters that play acoustic guitar, and I produce ones that play piano. And the ones that play guitar I go, I have guitars here, and they go, oh, I like to bring my guitar. Some of it's a comfort factor, but some of it is that bonding that they have. And they wrote the song on this guitar. They sing with this guitar all the time, and so that needs to be most of the time that needs to be the forefront, the main guitar, and then I could put a whole bunch of other guitars around it. But when I work with a piano player, singer songwriter, I go, so did you bring your keyboard? They go, no, I didn't. You have a piano here, right? And it's very different. It's a very different vibe. So if you've been playing electric guitar for a long time, you pick an acoustic guitar, you need to sit down and figure out what, obviously it needs to be something that's, a nice action, because you're used to playing electric guitar, and the whole playing ability is very different. I wouldn't advise slapping on tens on an acoustic guitar, but, unless you have a hand problem like I do.
Right.
But, yeah, I would spend some time and do that and try and bond with a guitar. The acoustic guitars I have are more for the full size acoustic guitars are for my whole production side, and so I chose acoustic guitars because the way they sound. Not necessarily how they felt playing. Like I said, the action on that nylon string sounds great. It needs to, in order for me to really play on it, I need to lower the action. So I have to have it. Yep. The steel string, once I put it sounded great, but once I put the silken steels on there, it actually sounded better than I thought, and a friend of mine thought, because he doesn't like the silken steel strings, but it feels good, and the action's pretty good on that. And then I have another semi newer Martin. It's a 99 J1, which is they made a limited run of those, and that sounds like a country acoustic guitar already compressed in the mix naturally, and so I use that for that. And for recording it works, but for playing live and really playing, I have to go back to this. I have to go back to all the Godins. I can play the Godins all night long and not have hand issues. I've not tried any of their steel string versions. They make this in steel string. I haven't tried that yet, but I really play steel string.
Very cool.
And shout out if you get a chance to see my friend Ben Woods play the best heavy metal hits on a nylon string in a flamenco or classical style.
That's cool.
Do it. And Ben plays nylon Godin as well, and a couple other models and stuff like that. But yeah, he's frightening. Ben Woods, look him up and just go, oh my.
One thing you guys and girls all have to remember is if you already play electric guitar and you want an acoustic guitar and you buy one, don't expect to play it the same way that you play an electric guitar. It's a very different animal. Yeah, you're not going to be able to play fast on it. You're not going to be able to play solos the way you do on your electric. You're not going to be able to do a bunch of stuff. It's made for different things. So, make sure when you do buy one that you buy one that's as comfortable as you can get, Yeah. Like Larry said, make sure that it's comfortable.
And then take it to Dave and go, Dave, can you make the action a little lower?
Guitar Man 45, I'm going to call him out because we're obviously kindred spirits on this. He says he's right. I have a few acoustics, but I always pick up and use my Taylor 414 CE. Not that this is a commercial for Taylor guitars, but that's the acoustic guitar I gravitate toward as well. There's something about the 414 that, like Dave was just talking about, there's something about the 414 that feels right to me. And like Larry was talking about, it's important to bond with this instrument because you do connect with it in a different way. Yes. And that particular guitar works for me. Listen, I have nicer guitars, and by nicer I mean I have more renowned guitars and more expensive guitars than that 414. However, for whatever reason, that 414 connects with me,
Yeah.
and I'm able
I had
to
a
express
314
myself
for
in
a
a
long
different
time.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a 314 for about 20 years. It was great. If I used that for recording. But so when I meant you got to sit down and play, like you should probably play as many 414s in the store as possible. Because they
Right.
won't sound exactly the same.
That's
But
exactly right.
there's a quality to it that you like. Then once you've narrowed that down, sit down and play as many of them as you can, because one is going to speak to you. And that's
That's right.
I was going to say this about the lower end acoustics and electrics. They've all gotten better. But if you get a chance to play, Dave and I did this with higher end guitar when I picked up my Les Paul. If you get a chance to play 10 of them, one's going to jump out. Chances are one is going to jump out of you like, wow, this is an incredible guitar.
Yeah.
When certain guitars, if you play Sirs or Tom Andersons or Nags, hand-built guitars, there's a higher level of a certain consistency that speaks to everybody. But when you get into lower-end guitars, it's like, all right, these are really good, these are really cool, and then there's that one guitar that's like, wow. I don't know if it's like 1 out of 100, the cheaper you get, or 1 out of 10, the better you get. But everybody's got that one beach guitar where it doesn't have a case. They drag it around. It never goes out of tune. It's got sand all in it and stuff like that. I go, wow, this guitar sounds amazing. It's that one guitar out of that group of guitars that works. You know what I
I'm
mean?
going to tell a quick
Yeah.
personal story. I wanted so badly a hummingbird. And I wanted that to be my acoustic guitar. For years, I wanted the hummingbird to be my acoustic guitar. And Larry, when I did just what you said, and I went through the process of playing multiple hummingbirds and then comparing it to other jumbo guitars, I didn't settle on the hummingbird. I settled on another guitar, which became really dear and precious to me. And I still have it. Kept the guitar for a long time. It got damaged on an airline and all the cliches, and it broke the headstock. And I could have made a funny YouTube video about my guitar being broken on an airline.
Wow.
That guitar better fit for me personally, for my guitar voice. That guitar was a better fit for me, and I wound up choosing that over the hummingbird. So sometimes what you set out as your ideal acoustic voice isn't always that until you sit down with the instrument.
Yeah, yeah, and there are people with electric voice too. I mean, like, I love something about tellies. I love, and I use them for recording all the time. You can put a telly anywhere on any track, and it works. You can find a spot for it without doing too much of anything. But I can't play telly live. It just doesn't work with what I do, and I just so much want to like. And my first guitar was a cheapish. It wasn't cheap when we bought it, but my mom got it for me. But it's nowadays it was a really low end Telstar Telecaster copy, and so that was it. And then Prince, I was a huge Prince fan. He played that purple, that pink telly. Remember, he played the pink or purple telly, pink telly, and I so wanted to play a telly, and yeah, no, I play them all the time when we're recording, but not live. It just doesn't work for me.
Oh, the things he could
tellies
do.
are
I
amazing.
love the natural telly that he played, Dave, with that. He had that little strip of you'd be able to
That's a
describe-
Tokai. That was his main Telecaster.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
The
yeah,
Tokai
Prince.
was a natural guitar, like a darkish natural. It had
How amazing did he make that guitar speak?
it had a tortoise pickguard on it, and it had tortoise binding on it.
Yeah, that was great. But he knew how to do this with it.
Oh yeah,
And that was the
and
difference.
it's not an expensive guitar.
Yeah.
That's not an expensive guitar. And the thing with Prince is he and his band, they didn't show like the decals on the guitars, none of them had decals. They didn't want to. They didn't want to show any favoritism to any companies. So everything was no decal, cheap if possible. Just is what it is.
All right, so little known secret. So I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. Prince's drummer John Blackwell Sr. John Blackwell Jr. grew up 10 miles that way,
Yeah.
and then the next drummer grew up 10 miles that way.
Oh,
crazy.
really?
That's correct.
Wow.
Amazing.
Very cool.
Somebody asked me the other day. They were like, I know you've been to 1 million concerts. Best concert you've ever seen? And I was like, well, there's a tie for number one. A tie. Prince and Prince.
Yeah, I've been to a few Prince concerts. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense. Yeah.
Very cool.
Someone asked what amp I don't know if that's for me or not. Chris is asking me at Boner Jams what amp do I use to play downstairs? Maybe that's not me.
Hang on.
That might be
I
for
can't-
Boner Jams. Boner
can't
Jams is
find it.
here.
Okay.
Yeah, so Boner Jams, this question is for you. So if you could weigh in with the answer, it says, at Boner Jams, what amp do you play when you're playing downstairs? Just wondering, and that's from Chris Bevan.
Oh, okay.
And if you when you buy your first acoustic guitar, don't expect to plug it into your amp.
No.
And get a
No,
good
no, no,
sound. Now, that is an advantage to having a modeler plugging into a PA. I plug my acoustic and electric go into the same rig. So
I remember in the middle '90s when I was playing acoustic, when I was playing the Escape record with you, and we were both plugged into Fender tube amps. How horrible it sounded! I mean, the songs were great, and we did the best we could with we were playing little small clubs, like very small bars. I remember there was a bar on the corner. I think it was on the corner of an apartment that you lived in, like in I don't remember where it was. Maybe it was Red Hook. Maybe no, it was
in Brooklyn?
no, not in Brooklyn. It was in Manhattan. You lived in an apartment in a high rise, and we played at a bar on the other end, on maybe the 8th Avenue end of the street. I don't remember. It was a small bar. We were stuck in a corner, and we both had like 2 little Vibrolux amps. And you played a nylon, and I played a steel string. I played a Gibson Chet Atkins steel string. And it was so nasally sounding, but I mean it got the point across, but it was not like what you're doing now.
Yeah. That was a good Chet Atkins you had.
Yeah. I had
This is
I had a
heavy as
few.
a Les Paul.
Oh, you know what? I think you were playing my nylon version of that Chet Atkins, and I was playing my steel string. I think you had borrowed my nylon for a while. That was a great guitar, and I think the serial number was like 002. I think it was Chet Atkins had gotten the first one, and that was the second one ever built.
Cool.
Yeah, I remember selling that for a lot of money. But anyway, should never have sold it. So, shall we get into this record a bit?
Edwin Crane says, I grew up 20 miles from Clemson, fellow South Carolinian. So glad that you've joined us. That's very cool. Boner Jam says that he played through an old crate. So there you go. It's not about the gear, it's about the player.
Well, Crate made an acoustic amp that was, the speaker wasn't great, but I forgot what it was. But it was an acoustic amp that it's just the EQ on it, everything, a built-in chorus was great. I remember people were taking them out of that you buy the little amp with a 10-inch speaker, you take it out and just use the preamp section of it.
Whatever works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded
Whatever
great.
worked.
It wasn't an expensive
There you
amp, but
Hello, Fruitcake
Hey,
Tony.
Tony.
How are you? Shall we get into the record?
sure.
Let's get into the record.
Yeah, let's start with track one, Father. Tell us about that.
Father was inspired by lots of things. It's having the loss of friends, um, the loss of friends' fathers. Um, it's weird. My uncle was not doing well, and I finished that, I think, and he passed away. I want to say 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, maybe. Um, but yeah, it was a heavy time. As I said before, both records have to do with losing lots of people. A lot of people during the coronavirus when it was hitting New York and New Jersey hard, but also just people passing, and it's been a journey for quite a few years. But it's one of those things where I that's what I was thinking about when I was playing it and working on it, and it didn't hit home until I was just about. I forgot what the working titles. I have to open up some hard drives to see what the working title was. Until I was just about ready to mix, and I was like, I don't know what else to do to put on here, but it needs it. And then I went and I've been riding my bike on Sunday mornings, um, and doing more miles than I should be doing, but not enough. And I have a little bell on it, and I was like, oh yeah. So I put the if you listen to Father close enough, at the very beginning and at the very end, there's a little bicycle bell, and just the sound of the bicycle bell hit exactly what the title was. So that's Father.
Do you have it set up, or do you want me to play it on here?
I have it. I can play it.
Sure.
This is the first single from this record, too. Can you mute your mic?
My mic, sure. Oops.
and that is Father.
Yeah, that song's amazing.
It's beautiful, Larry.
I mean, they're all great. All these songs are really amazing songs, but that really hits home.
Yeah,
great song.
it's cool. I was there's a lot of things about this record that I didn't worry about. Like I said, I had to let go of like, well, I'm tracking it plugged in, which is oddly because my other acoustic record happened in '94, Escape, and that's when the beginning of me learning how to record. And so I did everything wrong. I remember I recorded all acoustic guitars plugged in, and my friend Jeff came to help me with stuff. And he goes, "Why didn't you mic the acoustics?" I was like, "I don't know." He goes, "When you go to studio?" Yeah, I know. When I go to the studio, they mic the acoustics. I didn't know. So then I had to go back and redo. But there's a mixture on Escape between plugged in and mic'd acoustics and stuff like that. But since then, I've learned and become more of an engineer. And then every now and then, and a producer more, and every now and then you have to just kind of let go and go at what works. And so when I listen back to it, I have to listen back to it with not engineer and producer ears. I have to just listen to it as a just a fan of music and go, all right, this is doing something to me, so I'm enjoying that. Because I'm playing that the solo is on that nylon string guitar. The action's high, and it was other than the main riff. I think that's the only one I did multiple takes of to pick it. And I knew that I wanted a flow into the solo, an entrance into the solo. So what was important to me as a producer was an entrance into the solo, not specifically what it was. So there's a bunch of different takes of that. Mm-hmm. And then also I'm thinking about these things where it's like, I know it's an instrumental song, but it's about the whole piece. It's not just about the solo. The solo is just a small fraction of it. And you get more, in a lot of ways, you get more vibe from the bicycle bell of what the song's about than you will get from the solo. Mm-hmm. So you have to listen to it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm struggling here and there, and if I just listened to it as a fan of music, then I was like, oh, I enjoy that solo. That's why I picked that solo. There are cleaner ones. There are the ones that I'm playing. I'm not trying to play as fast, or ones that I'm playing faster, but that one overall hits the spot. And the same thing with how I played the melody and stuff like that. I think in one section I'm not actually playing the melody right. Just because I'm recording it and I'm kind of like, I'm just in the zone and I probably missed the melody a little bit. But I like that. So instead of fixing it, I left it.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
That
Boner Jam says, by the way, Boner Jams, thank you for the super chat. Great song, Larry. Is there anyone you'd like to work with that you haven't, either a singer or another musician?
For since last spring, not this spring, but 2019 spring, I have been on my third Tori Amos kick, and this one's a hard kick. I produced a couple of singer-songwriters back in 1999, and then another one in 2004, I think. And they were both fans of Tori Amos, so I had to listen to a lot of Tori Amos to figure out where they were coming from. And the first time I listened to it, I was like, all right, this is cool. This is really cool. And then the second time I listened, it's like, wow, this is great. And then last year, and then I always listen to it here and there, but last year I got on this Tori Amos kick and I started watching everything I could find on YouTube. First of all, her band is ridiculous.
Really
Matt Chamberlain
good.
on drums.
Oh
my
God.
Yeah, she's got this trio and they are gelling like you would not believe. And she's just a ridiculous piano player. She's a prodigy piano player. But I'm also into the songs and her lyrics and stuff like that. Yeah, I'd love to play with Tori Amos.
Oh, I'd love to see you play with her, Larry. I mean, I had a guitar teacher decades ago tell me, when you get to the point where you can play what you sing and sing what you play, then you've reached a pretty good place. And her melodies, the melodies, emulating the melodies that she composes is inspiring. Extremely musical. Any lead guitar player could benefit from following Tori Amos.
Yeah, or even so a lot of people don't know, like, if you look at my career as a solo artist, I'm playing lots and lots of notes and I'm out front. But if you look at my career as a sideman, with Billy Squire, I think I took we split a lot of the solos, maybe 6 or 7 solos. I can't remember, David, no, but Billy took a lot of solos. Billy's great. When I played with Tracy Chapman, I think maybe on a good night I would have 6 solos, but I think the average was about 3 solos. If you look at a lot of the other singer-songwriters that I've produced and played with, and I am the textural guy, I'm doing this most of the night. Well, that and just other sounds. So when you can't play a lot of notes when you're doing that. So I've been a sideman with people where they're taking a lot of the solos, or most of the solos. There's a Native American artist named Joy Harjo that she plays saxophone and Native American flute. And so I would do a couple of solos, but really throughout the night, she's taking the bulk of the solos. When I first played with a Native American artist named Robert Mirabal, we had another guitar player, Jeff, and he had been in the band like maybe a couple of days before so he had claimed a bunch of the solos and stuff. So for a while, it's like, all right, yeah, Jeff takes solo, Jeff takes the solos. And then slowly I would play some more, and then Robert would look at me and go, no, you should take the solo, you should take the solo. And we split a lot of the solos, but that wasn't what it's about. As a sideman, it's not really about soloing. And actually, I am much better at soloing over my songs than I am soloing over other people's stuff. So I don't mind doing all the other textural stuff. I don't mind being the delay guy.
It's so interesting that you bring up a sax player, because how much can we as guitar players learn from saxophone players? They're so expressive.
Yeah, it's like singing.
Well, that's what I was going to say. How much can a singer learn from a saxophone player?
Because you run out of oxygen, right? So they're playing the solo, they have to stop and breathe.
Yeah.
And play more and stop and breathe. How much can we, as guitar players that can do this all day long, how much can we learn from that? From a phrasing standpoint, about how to better express ourselves, how to better phrase. There's so much that we can learn from horn players.
Yes. Well, like you said a little while ago, when you can sing what you can play and play what you can sing, you got something. And when I'm in the studio a lot of times, I'm pretty annoying because I sing a lot more of what I'm playing loudly. And then I have to remember who's in the room with me because I can't really sing. But I'm doing it. And when you're working on phrasing, it's a very good idea to sing what you play, because your mind won't let you play gibberish. It won't let you sing gibberish, and so you won't play gibberish. Right. And you will run out of air. If you're not singing, you will play a whole lot of notes and play and play and play, and you won't pause and give it some, those pauses help give you the expression. If you're singing, you have to stop. You have to just breathe for a second. So
that's exactly right. Mm-hmm. And that's music, right? That becomes musicality. I've had people watch videos of me, and if you watch a video of me playing guitar, and I know a lot of you in the audience, in the chat tonight have seen that, you'll see my mouth moving, because at this point, I can't help it. And I do move. I am kind of moving my mouth as to what I am trying to play, and I think that's a good thing. I just wish I could look as cool as Larry Mitchell when he plays, And he doesn't have to move his mouth that way. Or when Joe Satriani doesn't have to move his mouth that way. I wish I could look that cool. I just can't. But I do play that in my head as I'm trying to play. And when somebody brought it to my attention that, listen to Miles Davis and Coltrane and try to bring that element to your guitar playing if you really want to grow your expression. I really wish I could just keep my lips closed when I do it. I just can't. So, sorry for that.
Elaborating on this a little bit. So when I've been teaching like master classes as we're doing stuff at Vi Academy, and one of the things that I try to talk about a lot is you work on all these techniques. Like you work on picking. I don't have an electric, but you work on. So you work on picking, but you don't want to pick the whole solo. You work on slurring, or hammer-ons and pull-offs. You don't want to do a whole solo of that. You work on bending. You work on all these techniques so that you have them at your beck and call, so that you can use them. When you and you work on dynamics and changing speed, because soloing is so much like speaking.
Yes.
That when you sing what you're playing, you usually, if you're comfortable, you put those dynamics in. If I say, "Hey Ty, look at that girl over there," or if I go, "Hey Ty, look at that girl over there," or I go, "Ty, look at that girl over there." I said the same thing three different ways, but the same words, and they mean three different things, and you play that way. And all of them are all. What I changed was the inflections of how loud I am to how soft I am, to how fast some of the words are, how I grouped some of the words, and that happens when you sing what you play more than when you don't do it.
That's a guitar lesson right here for everyone that's watching this tonight. That is a guitar lesson from Larry Mitchell, because he's right. He said the same thing He said the same thing 3 times. He said it 3 different ways, and it has 3 different expressions.
Three different meanings
for that.
3 different meanings.
3 different meanings. You're exactly right, Dave. Yeah, that is amazing.
That's the. You get that. You work on that when you're playing, when you're singing what you play, because we do not talk like this the whole time. We don't talk like
or
this
at all
the whole time, but we not often. But what happens is as you grow up, you learn how to say things a certain way. You speak one way to certain friends, and to strangers you speak a different way. But you end up playing that way if you think about it, and if you work on and singing what you play.
No, you're exactly right. That is such a great guitar lesson you shared with all of us. Thank you.
Shall we get on to the next song?
Sure. I don't have to play all of it, but I'll play a little bit.
Color of which songs do you want to play along with? So
well, I was gonna play one with Father, but it's okay. I'll play one with Popcorn and Chocolate, but let me do Color of Sound is an important song for me. I won't go too far into it, but if you're familiar with the phrase synesthesia, where the crossing of the senses, then that's what this song's about. That's Color of Sound.
Someone wanted to say hello.
Someone wanted to say hello? Oh, hey!
Snickers.
My little puppy Snickers.
All right. Anyway, it goes on a little longer. Um, yeah, yeah.
I love
That's
the expression of those little micro
Beautiful.
sweeps that you do in that
oh,
part.
thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that song has a heavy meaning for me. What's the interesting thing about that song is, and when I get confused when I do new songs now, and I have to remember what's the guitar part. The only thing that's not played on that from this guitar, is the drum kit. Sounds. Everything, all the string stuff is played first on guitar as a guitar part, and then converted to a string part.
That's amazing.
So I get confused sometimes. Like when I'm playing a play, it's like, wait, and I want to play something, and I go, oh, wait, that's not the guitar part anymore. That's the string part, or that's something else, or that's part of the bass line. Yeah, it's technology is good in that it helps you get what you want out if you know what you want. To use the technology that way.
Very cool.
But yeah, there's lots of colors in that. And I close my eyes, lots of colors, and it was just letting it fly. It was a song, so that was done in an evening. That was supposed to be mixing one of the other songs that didn't make it on the record, and then just kept everything about that song kept coming up. So I ended up scrapping the other mix and doing that song in an evening. But yeah, the feel of the song was important for me, and then how it rose from just the guitar to the full on string section, the sitting in a cafe in France kind of vibe.
It sounds
then-
just like that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's the
sounds just
intent.
like that.
And then I wanted it. Sometimes when I hear music, it's warbled at first, and it's you can say, well, you play with a lot of effects on it, it's probably warbled, but even just sitting down playing the guitar by itself, I hear it warbled sometimes. And I have been playing a lot with the harmonic tremolo. First, Eventide came out with the harmonic tremolo algorithm for the H9, and then Fractal also came out with their harmonic tremolo. And it was weird because I was at a Summer NAMM show right before all this happened, and this guy came up to me. He had watched me play at a booth, and he says, I didn't even remember the name of the company. He goes, please come to my booth. I want to give you one of these pedals. And then I was like, what is it? He goes, it's a harmonic tremolo. I was like, oh, cool. That's kind of interesting. Can't remember the booth. Could never make it over there. So that was on my radar. So in the beginning, though, that's a harmonic tremolo on the acoustic. So I probably had it a little set a little higher, a little more wobbly and stuff like that. And that gave it a little bit more of what was in my head, and then also a little bit more of the effect of what I could see, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Real quick, Vincent Stagliano says, "Hey Dave, I just got my EVH Frankie delivered first tremolo, and I was wondering if you could suggest a shop to set it up. I'm not far from you, Lincoln Park, New Jersey. Thanks." Vincent, if you contact me on my website, which is theguitarwhisperer.guru, GUITARWHISPERER.guru, there's a comment section. Lost Larry. We'll get him back. Contact me there so I can either call you or email you, and I could do it for you here. I can't have you in the house just because of COVID-19, but if you drop it off, you want to go get a bite to eat and then come back, I could have it done for you while you wait. This way you don't have to come all the way back here from Jersey again. I'll be happy to do that for you. Welcome back.
Larry says something really important there for me. The thing I took away from what Larry just said was that he was allowing the artistry of what he was doing to push the technology forward. And I would say that sitting in this chair, sometimes I'm guilty of the reverse. Plugging into the technology and waiting for the technology to inspire the artistry. And that really is the backwards way of looking at it, right? And Larry is approaching it from an artist mindset first. And it's never been a better time to be a guitar player and have all these resources available to us, whether they're on a computer or they're on a digital interface or however we find our inspiration. But it's still up to us to push that forward. And he made that little comment. It was very subtle, but that comment spoke to me, that the artistry should advance what the technology does.
well, yeah, it's we have so much technology. You could buy the technology and go, oh, I'm going to play with this until I come up with something cool. Or you can say, I have all these ideas in my head. I wish I could, oh, wait, I can do that. I can do this. You can use the technology to pull stuff that's in your head out, instead of like saying, oh, I got this technology, I have to use it. I have an abundance of plugins because I produce so many different types of music. So if I was just doing my music, I would have probably 1/10 the library of stuff, of piano sounds, of drum sounds, of synthesizer modules and stuff like that. I don't play keyboards live or anything, but I have a lot of vintage to modern keyboard sounds. They're at my beck and call. I don't sit down and go, I got to use all of these things on my record or anybody's record. But I hopefully, if I hear it in my head, I go, this is the sound I want. I just need, oh wait, I know I have that sound, So we have the technology. You can use it. You can abuse it if you do it, all the time. I mean, we're all guilty of doing that. We're all going, I got this sound. I got to use it. Stuff like that. Like I said, the harmonic tremolo was being first. Guy came into me at Summer NAMM show and goes, I got this pedal I want to give you. And what is it? It's harmonic tremolo. And right after that, Eventide comes out with one. I was like, all right, that's on my radar. And then Fractal comes out with one, and it's like, all right, what's the harmonic tremolo all about? It's on my radar. And then just to get the feel for it, and then I pulled it back. But I would never just force it on the acoustic. But I heard it in my head, like, oh, that's what this is for. I need that warbled kind of sound.
Yeah, it's very univibey. Mm-hmm. It's totally different. Like the brown face Fender amps from the early '60s, they had that harmonic tremolo, And then once the black faces came out, they were a different type of tremolo. They weren't harmonic anymore. Very good stuff.
Were they bias? It was the bias came after that.
Yes.
Nice, nice.
Very cool.
So, and then this is actually the last song that I wrote for it, but not the last song that I finished production. This is another one that was done rather quickly, and it replaced a whole other song. Like I said, I wrote quite a bit of songs for this. I had all the songs finished, and then there was some delays in a few months because I wasn't sure how to release something during these times. And then when I decided to do it, I was listening back to mixes and going, I was writing more and more and more. So I probably have about 12 songs that I did, but only released 6. So this is another one of my favorite ones, and it's very mellow. I'll just play a little bit of it. This is Desert Dreams. That's Desert Dreams. That's probably one of my favorite Thanks, Evan.
So that's that song. Listening to that song makes me kind of reflect on life itself.
Oh, cool.
That's a song that I envision listening to as I'm reflecting back on my life, and it's amazing. It's just amazing.
It really is such an emotive piece of music that it really does just transport you to a different place, whether that's in reflection or whether that's in forecasting. Whatever it is. I mean, it's so emotional in nature.
I like that. Reflecting back on the future.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's cool. That was probably the last piece I wrote. I think that's the last piece I wrote. But not the last piece I finished mixing.
Yeah,
anything
and
like
Larry,
that.
you know that there's such a big takeaway from that piece of music that everybody knows you have the ability to burn, but then you have the ability to do that. It really is amazing that you can move a listener in a lot of different ways just based on how you approach the instrument. And that really is artistry.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, the end result is creating a piece of music that does something. And
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you,
inspiring.
Thursday.
It really is inspiring.
Cool.
Real quick, we have another great guitar player in the chat. Hello, Vince Janella.
Hey, Vince.
Hey, Vince.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, Ben Coombe says, "Well said, Ty," and it absolutely is. Absolutely. So, popcorn and chocolate, two of your favorite things.
I don't know what you're talking about. I gotta say, thank you to everybody. Last week was my birthday, and I was on the show last week during my birthday.
Yes,
And,
you were.
We were so
I
lucky.
I received a staggering amount of chocolate. it's wonderful. It's amazing. And I think that started, actually the title. So on Sunday nights I do my It Happened on a Sunday acoustic live stream. Tuesday nights are electric, Sunday nights are acoustic. And I was working on the record, and I didn't have a title for this song. And for some reason, someone had given me a box of chocolates, and I had them sitting on the desk when I was doing the show, and I have multiple cameras going on. I think someone said something about it, and I said, "Oh yeah, grab your." And I had a cup of hot chocolate. A lot of times I have coffee or iced tea, but I had a cup of hot chocolate right here, and so I said, "Everybody, grab your chocolate," and some people said they did, and got some hot chocolate and join me as we do the live stream, and then I said, "Yeah, popcorn," because I like popcorn. I'm a popcorn fanatic. And right when I got after that, I opened the track up again in Pro Tools, and I think I resaved the song as Popcorn and Chocolate, and now that's become a thing on Sunday nights. Is just chocolate. Not as much popcorn on Sunday nights, but chocolate. I ate some popcorn on this show, but it gets buttery on the fingers.
So, what chocolate do you have there? Is that like a chocolate malt ball?
This is chocolate. This is milk chocolate covered almonds with 56 neat glasses now. Roasted California almonds.
Very nice. Do you remember the days of us traveling to New York City on the South Shore of Long Island and stopping off, and me getting all the chocolate in the world, being diabetic and eating all the chocolate?
I have a sweet tooth, but we would stop and get all this chocolate and eat it. And I remember one day being at your mom's house, and she'd said something about to me about leaving all these candy wrappers in your car. And I was like, what? And she goes, well, I know they're not Dave's because he's diabetic. And I'm like, what? You're what?
Yeah. Yep. Now you all know the reason for the lost thumb, the lost feet, kidney disease, all that crap. All those years of having sugar, chocolate with diabetes.
Dave.
Yeah. And I couldn't say
taking
to-
taking medication at that time, thinking, all right, well, I'm on medication. It's okay. I can eat this. Not the case.
I
I couldn't say to his mom, going, Dave, Dave eats a lot of that chocolate as well.
Yeah.
But I had no idea he was diabetic. None. Zero. And we were eating a lot. I mean, I'm a chocoholic, so we were eating a lot of candy. Dave.
Those are the days. Those are the days of being young and dumb and full of chocolate.
There you go.
Oh, sorry.
So let me play a little bit of popcorn and chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I am going to. I think when I recorded this. Oh, by the way, Desert Dreams is all this guitar. It doesn't sound like it's plugged to me. It doesn't sound like it's plugged in. I did use a lot of compression on this record, but it doesn't sound like it's plugged in. So I think I had to record this in several stages because that guitar is not tuned. It's tuned a whole step down. I had to use a capo and I had to keep moving it. So then I had to relearn it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, memory is a good thing. Memory is a wonderful thing. Here we go. Popcorn and chocolate.
another great song.
Thank you. Yeah, it's popcorn and chocolate.
Man. Just one right after another. They're all just they're songs you do this with. Or sway back and forth with. They're all good.
As long as you
Amazing.
get a good feeling when you listen to it, that's what counts.
Absolutely.
Beautiful piece of music. Track 4 from the album The Light Within from Larry Mitchell. Larry, where can these fine folks, where can they buy the record?
On Bandcamp. So again, I was trying to figure out how to release something during a pandemic and everything else is going on. And I normally sell CDs when I'm out live playing. So I decided to just do it on Bandcamp. Actually, one of the artists I produced, Katie Martin, was telling me about Bandcamp, and they do anything where the first Friday of every month they don't take a percentage of the sales. All sales go directly to the artist, and I like it. I like the most of my other all my other records that are available on Apple Music, iTunes Store, Spotify, Pandora, everything. I forget all the ones and stuff like that. But this one, since I wasn't making physical CDs, I will have some CDs the last week of December, I believe. That I would just release it digitally. So it's Bandcamp, LarryMitchell.bandcamp.com. You can find
Beautiful.
them there. You can stream them. You can purchase them. I appreciate it if you can purchase it. Ben, thanks Ben for putting the he put the link.
Thank you, Ben. We can always count on Ben to do that. Thank you, Ben.
Ben's amazing. He's one of the best moderators out there. He's a great guy, great moderator. He takes care of us. He takes care of a lot of people, but he really takes care of us when he's around. Thank you, Ben.
Absolutely.
So how you holding up, Dave?
I'm fine. Well, I'm okay. I can keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of Arizona Nights. Just again that feeling of walking in the desert, but this is a little bit more going on. So here's a little bit of Arizona Nights.
Love it.
That is Arizona Nights. You have to stream it to hear the rest of the solo. Oh, I'm not. Here we
It's
go.
incredible. Arizona Nights, definitely one of my favorite tracks from the record. A Light
Cool.
Within. You know, I'm listening to this acoustic guitar, Dave, and you know, it's inspiring me to pay more attention to my own acoustic guitar playing.
Yeah, you want to get one of those, and you want to get a Fractal Audio.
I want to get one of those touches that like.
Well, first you need the hat. You need
The
you need the amazing
expressionism.
smile.
The expressionism, the creativity, the melody, the sense of melody. Like, you take a track like that, and you can sing the whole track. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of music. You can just sing the melody.
Cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, yeah. Thank you. One of the things I think that we have to be aware of. How do I put this gently? In making music is who are you making the music for? There's a bit of I'm making it for myself, but ultimately you're making it for people to listen to. And so that weighs in heavily on decisions you make on like, does it really matter that I track this with this guitar or that guitar, or does it matter that it feels good? Do you know what I mean? And are you making something that's technically correct for every other guitar player that's out there? And here's a secret you guys haven't figured out yet. If you haven't figured it out yet, is most guitar players, most musicians don't buy other musicians' music. Most. So if you make music just for other musicians, that's a tricky thing. But if you make music for yourself and you make music for people who love music, then that's probably a better deal. I don't know if I said that right. And I
No,
don't wanna
you're
offend
absolutely
anybody.
right. You're absolutely right. It makes sense because even at live concerts, you know, the musicians that go there are doing this.
Yeah, not all, but a large percentage are. A large percentage.
They're
And then-
they're thinking to themselves how many different ways they could do it better, or you know, or whatever. And people that love music and love you, and you meaning the person who wrote and recorded the record, you know, anyone who's done that, that's a better way to go. It absolutely is.
It's an interesting thing, and I don't think. I mean, of course, there are guitar players. Everybody's like, well, you know, there's Eddie Van Halen. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Eddie Van Halen had people that other musicians that came up and like, yeah, I could do that. There's always somebody.
Oh,
There
of
was-
course.
I've seen people get ready to get on stage with Steve Vai, thinking that like, yep, this is my chance. I'm going to show Steve Vai up. And I'm like, oh, no, you should just be happy you're on stage with Steve. It's frightening. You should be happy.
Well, first of all, even if they do show Steve Vai up,
They're not
even
gonna
if
show
even if they do cut heads and they think they're winning, that's still Steve Vai, and you know he's got credibility, and he is Steve Vai. No, you're not taking nothing away from him. I don't care if he doesn't play as well as you do. You're not taking anything away from that guy.
I have seen people all cocky on the side of the stage, getting ready to get on stage with Steve Vai, and they get on stage, and at some point, Steve goes from like, yeah, cool, this is a great show, we're having a good time, to like, hold on a second, I'm Steve Vai, and then heads go, and then you get that humility guy, you know, the humility of like, oh yeah, that's right, that's Steve Vai. It's just,
It's
it's
the truth.
amazing. I've seen it over and over from the Vi camps to I've been on stage jam with Steve at shows to just other things. And at some point, you have to realize it's Steve Vai. It's the same thing with being on stage with Paul Gilbert. At some point, you go, oh, that's right, this Paul Gilbert or Andy Timmons. And it's just like,
Any
Yeah.
one of those cats. Any one of those cats.
just
You know-
so guitar other musicians are kind of like, yeah, I like this, and but and I'm happy, I'm honored when other musicians like my music, but it's not the driving force of why and how I make my music. And it's the same thing with I guess I'm growing a little bit more because, like I said, I've had touches of not worrying about how something's recorded, whether it was recorded super proper. And I taught at the College of Santa Fe. I taught production techniques at Recording Class 101 and 102. And so I understand the right ways to do things, but that doesn't always get the best results. And then sometimes you do things just like haphazardly, but it comes out amazing. That's not the way you live for, but this record taught me not to necessarily worry about recording for other engineers. Other engineers aren't buying my records, you know what I mean? Unless they happen to just be a fan of the music. So it's a learning lesson all around. Both these records are definitely. And actually, I started getting a couple of other people to play on the electric record, and there were some comments because they didn't understand where it was coming from. So I ended up pulling those tracks. I'll release some of the other tracks, some of the other versions with other people playing on it later on. But on the electric record, only my friend Leo Rizzo, who I was in band with 40 years ago, remained on two of the tracks, on Tunnel and Shadows in the Soul, playing piano. Again, the vision was more important than having this named person playing on the record. So this was a growing up experience of just like not worrying about. I've always had that thing about not worrying about the musicians so much, but especially because I came into engineering and producing later in life. That was always in the back of my mind. Oh, is that sound as clear as it should? Is that recorded the best as could be possible? Could be recorded. But anyway, it's an experience.
Larry, it begs the question, as a creator, as a composer, and you're talking about contributions on the record, and you had Don Avery play cello on Father, which was the first track we started with tonight. When you're bringing Don in to play cello on that track as an artist, as a composer of that piece of music, are you providing musical direction in that context, or are you just presenting the composition and presenting a vision for what you want that cello to be, and allowing her to do her work? How does that unpack that for the audience? How does something like that work?
In order to keep the vision, I tend to do everything first. So there's string parts in there. And when I got together with Don, we did a healing concert at the Atlantic Center for the Arts in June, I think it was June 20th, in Florida. And Dawn was there, and I said, Dawn, could you play some cello on this? And I had sent her the tracks, and she liked it. And so first approach is she's replacing or doubling my cello tracks that I put on there, like programmed cello or played on the guitar and turned into cello. And then once I get that, because at that point I know that I'm happy with the string parts. I just wanted to sound a little. I just wanted it to sound a little thicker or a little bit, against what I was just saying a little while ago, a little authentic. Having for a production note, if you program strings or play strings on a keyboard, if you get a live cellist or a violin player to double those, it makes the whole thing more, say, real. Because what's missing from the program stuff is they're the best. They're like super high quality recorded, perfect play, blah blah blah. And what's missing is that human element, which is the mistakes, the imperfections. And not that John is imperfect, but I mean just what we are the sum of our imperfections, if you could say that. That's what makes me different than you and Dave and everybody else. It's like where not how perfect we play, but how not perfect we play. Where we choose, where we get developed and stuff like that.
Sure.
So Dawn doubled that, and then with Dawn, I usually, because I've worked with Dawn for the last 12 or 13 years, and we've done a bunch of records. We co-wrote music for a play that Jim Henson's daughter put out called A G-Jock on Turtle Island and made it to Broadway. And I learned a lot from, I've always loved strings, but I just kind of would put them in here and there, not understanding the whole realm of how strings are supposed to be done. So doing records with Dawn, I'd be like, "Hey Dawn, could you do this?" And she means, "You mean this?" And I'm like, "Yes, that." And then she would explain. I would ask her. She was my string teacher, basically. I would ask her, "Why did you just do that? And how? Or why do I want to hear this?" And she was like, "Oh no, what you want to hear is a viola right there." I'm like, "Oh, viola? I don't really know what the difference is." At the time, it was interesting. So. So Dawn played cello on that, and then because we're not in the same physical place, she's 1,000 miles away, and didn't have access to recording gear that I would like. I couldn't get her to do more tracks, so to say. So again, going with that, like, who am I making the record for? I have an enormous amount of string libraries. I like these string libraries. And these are the parts I want, so I'm going to roll with that. How do I get those to sound the best for me? And so that's where, when you hear strings on the rest of the record, they're just, it's me playing guitar, turning them into strings, or moving notes around and stuff like that. But yeah, Dawn played great on that. So with Dawn, usually, and she's played on a bunch of stuff that I've done, I approach it by getting her to double or replace string parts that I've programmed and or recorded, and then I always go, "All right, so John, what are you hearing?" And she go, "Well, it would be nice if you did this on top." And then I go like, so that's why when I usually have Dawn on there's like 12 tracks of cello, because she's doubled what I've done. And then she goes, "Well, you had to use the violin up here, and I can't get up there." It's like, so, but what about this part? And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's brilliant, that's perfect." So with Dawn, there's a bit of like, can you play this once we replace all the parts? Then what else are you hearing? And so that's how I approach strings with Dawn. With other string players for different projects, there's a woman named Martha Reich that I kind of produce. She's her own enigma thing. It's beautiful, but I can't do things the way I normally produce. And she's a cello player that I have to just kind of direct a little bit, or when I was there. But a lot of times she directs them when she's doing it. And then other singer songwriters, I'll program everything, and then if we have it in the budget, I will get someone to replace or add or to do that. But I need to build the song and be happy with it before I present it to somebody else. That's not what I did on Shadows of the Soul when I sent tracks out for other people to play. I had it in a working state, and then the vibe I got back was they didn't understand what they were playing or why they should be playing, or they couldn't come up with what they felt was good to play on it. And I've had this before where I've done that, and I get the tracks back, and either I use them or I don't use them, and I put the record out, and people go, "Oh, why didn't you send me that?" It's like, well, I couldn't get to that until I had your part or the part that you're supposed to be playing. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So that's how I approach it. So I'm an all-in-one producer in the sense that I usually play whatever the artist doesn't play. And then if we have time and budget, then I bring in other people to replace. I have no ego, but I'll replace guitar parts If there's someone else that's better playing the for the part it comes down to song, artist, album, song in priority. So the song first, the song's got to hold up on its own. Then it's got to be true to the artist that whose name is on the record. Then it's got to fit on the record,
Get on the record.
and then it's still got to hold up as a song. So
That's another lesson for all of us right there.
Right there. I mean, that's a $500 lesson right there.
or a handful of chocolate covered almonds.
Throw me one of those.
Yeah, we're almost there. We're almost there with that.
It's all right. I've got my own sugar-free chocolate chip cookies.
That's right. I'm not throwing you this because your mom will kill me.
No, she's probably watching.
We're going to
quiet
get to
in the
this last
background.
track, and I'm going to have a composition question for Larry after, because I'm assuming we're going to do "When a Soul Floats" next, and
Sure. I'll do a little bit of it.
I've got a composition question about this song.
Okay. Here's When the Soul Floats. I wanted to put 5 songs in a record. I had that, so I talked about this last week, had this self-imposed limit, and it was good for me. But it really came down to I needed to have When a Soul Floats on the record. And I couldn't, I was going to put it on I was going to put it on as a hidden track, and I was going to not, and I just couldn't take it off. So here you go. Interesting thing. So When Soul Floats was different for me than every other song on the record, but it needed to be on the record to form the record. If that's it. It's almost the same thing as I Do Love on the Shadows on the Soul. It needed to be there to complete the record. That's why I couldn't at a hard time take it off. But I'm opening up the Pro Tool session, and I am missing some plugins, so it won't sound, the mix won't sound exactly the same. But I wanted to play. There's some funky stuff going on here. I should have done this in the first place. Hold on a second. So when you get into, I'm not sure how loud this will be, but Yeah, it's gonna be much louder. There we go. So. That's underneath. Once the drums come in, that's underneath there, and I just love that. I love
Me
funky
too.
hidden things. So there's that. And that's when there's string parts there. Let's see.
So, Larry, melodically, there are two
Hmm?
very strong things going on with this song.
Okay.
You've got this, you've got this interesting chord progression that a listener can connect with immediately and sing, and then you've got this melody that, again, the listener can connect with and sing on its own. So, for you in the composition process, I guess is the word. Which comes first for you in something like that? Do you have
Oh,
the do you have the progression, or do you have the melody? So how are you building a track like this with two very memorable parts, one that supports the other?
it's the 99% of the time. It's the progression and the feel first before the melody. There's been a couple of things where the melody comes in at the exact same time, and one forces the other one to change. But Love's Last Cry is like that. Unforgotten is like
Uh-huh.
that, where the
Yep.
melody and the chords kind of come at the same time,
Yeah.
and uh, they start to build at the same time. And you start to, all right, the melody wants to do this, but I want it to do this in the chords, but I'm gonna go with I think the melody's stronger here, or I want to do this, but the melody's not. The rhythm part is more dominant here. If the bed of the track isn't as happening, then I don't know if people want to stay around or stay locked into it or tuned into it.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
one of the coolest things that I get told a lot by a lot of players is like, oh, I listen to you play and I jam along, and I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, yeah, your stuff is really easy to play to. You know what I mean? You can interpret it a lot of different ways if you want it in solo and stuff like that. It's probably because there's less chords or it's got a certain drive to it. And then there's just a lot of dynamic build. I try to put a lot of dynamic build underneath that forces the solo to go someplace. So I might not be going places chord tone wise, but I'm going energetically wise. So there's a rise to it. And then on that, so like exactly what I was talking about, underneath that solo is so that's happening underneath a solo. But that
Yeah.
is,
Very cool.
it is almost doesn't matter what I play on top of it. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there's like, if I played a bunch of different solos, which I'm fortunately smart enough to delete a lot of this, the solos I don't use. There's like 3 tracks that go one direction, 3 tracks that go another direction, 4 or 5 tracks that go a completely different direction, and that's because the energy is coming from underneath. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense because there's this
Let's see.
big pocket for me. Like when I hear
So
somebody
underneath
come
the
up to you and
solo,
say, "Oh, your stuff is easy to play to or comfortable to play to or whatever adjective they use to describe that. That makes sense to me because there's this.
So there's that happening with the strings, and
rhythm
then there's
to it.
still the. Or in the solo, you have.
But I can
But at
still,
the same time, you have.
I can still hit it every time. There's just such a rhythm to it. There's
Very
such
just for straight groove. Ty, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Yeah. There's just such a pace to it. I can hit
I
it.
can't.
Like, can you not hear me, Dave? Am I muted?
I hear you.
Okay. I don't think Larry can get me.
Larry, can you hear?
I can't hear you guys.
That's really weird.
I'm gonna
you hear us
log out
now?
and log back in.
Okay.
Anyway, this was the leading question. You know, we've reached the end of the record. This is the last track. And Larry's right that a listener can absorb all of this and then find a rhythm to each one of those things. And isn't that the reason we listen to music?
Yes.
Because this rhythm actually moves us, right? And so I think one of the beautiful things about all of Larry's compositions on this record is that there's this steady rhythm, you know, through the whole thing that connects with this listener. That so when someone comes up to Larry and says, "Wow, you're,"
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, Larry, we hear you.
I can't hear you.
Okay, hang on a
What
second.
is that? Hold on.
Anyway, that's the thing for me. that
Larry,
I
can you hear me
find-
on this?
I find a lot of beauty. I find a lot of beauty in Larry's music because there's this consistency there for the listener.
I'm sorry, Ty. I cannot hear you.
Yep.
Hang on one second. The phone,
Switch to internal, and then switch it back.
Larry, phone.
I
Testing
agree,
one,
Ben.
Can you hear us?
Larry does make the best chord progressions.
He does.
Default. Nope, still don't hear you guys.
Larry, phone. Can you hear on that, Larry?
Wonder how we
You guys can
lost
still hear me,
Can you hear it?
right?
Yeah. Yes.
it.
You're muted
Dave,
though.
Can you hear me?
I hear
Dave?
you.
Oh,
I hear you.
no.
Yeah.
No.
You're muted.
Breaking
Ben
guitars.
says omnipresent,
breaking
Dave.
guitars.
Huh?
Omnipresent with the reverb there,
Plus the
Ben.
headphones.
Did
Yeah.
you hear all the reverb
I did.
and the echo?
Mangled.
It was great. It's very fitting, Dave.
Mangled beyond belief. This is live, folks. We are live. We are none of that 4-second tape delay they do. on,
Terry says
Saturday Night Live.
Terry, thank you for
We
being
are
here, Terry.
live.
And Terry says that he can hear all
Watch a
three of us.
grown
in
man
the stream.
trying to untangle headphones.
Yeah, I think it's just
Terry,
Larry
your
that
floors
can't hear
look
us.
great, by the way. Great job.
I think it's just Larry that can't hear us.
Wow.
Almost. Okay.
Who Ninja says,
Phone.
my cat just took over my lap just like Dave's
That
dog.
battery's gonna die. Upload these.
Great.
You guys are laughing at me.
No. No, we're not.
No.
Hello?
Yeah.
Well, you have to unmute. You have to unmute your phone. There you
Hello?
go. Can you hear
Gary
us?
says Larry needs more
Yes.
chocolate.
All right.
But now you can hear me
Twice,
twice,
can't
can't
you?
you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you. Well, yes, I do hear you twice. Now I can't hear you at all.
Check
You
one,
there?
two. Check 1, 2.
Yeah, now I hear you. Can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, so we can see you on one and hear you on the other.
Yes. So did you hear any of that, the stuff in Pro Tools I was talking about?
Yes,
Yes.
we heard the whole thing. We could hear you the whole time.
Yeah, we heard it all. And so when I'm listening to things like that, Larry, I'm not surprised that people come up to you and say that your compositions, your chord progressions are easy to play over or friendly to play over, because there's just such a pocket and a rhythm to everything that you produce, everything that you create, that it's moving. And as a player, isn't that what we jump onto, right? So that same guitar instructor from decades ago that told me to play what you sing and sing what you play, it was also about the two R's, rhythm and repetition and groove. And you can lock into a Larry Mitchell groove with rhythm and repetition.
Cool.
And that's how you build your musicality, right? I mean,
you want
that's-
something cool to play over.
exactly.
If
Yes.
it's not, then it's hard to just hold on. It's hard to hold the listener's attention. It's hard to hold your attention.
That's
To
exactly
lock
right.
into it. So
That's exactly right.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, this track that we just listened to the entire record of The Light Within from Larry Mitchell, and this last track, When a Soul Floats, is my favorite track
Cool.
on the record. I can't really explain why, other than I just connected to that.
It makes
They're
you
all
feel
great.
good. Just
It does,
makes you feel
Dave. It just makes me want to. It makes me want to play my guitar. It makes me want to create something, make something, and that's the inspiration.
It's when a soul floats.
yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I get quite a bit of people saying that, when I listen to like people play along on Tuesday nights and stuff like that, they go, yeah, it just makes me want to play. I want to practice. So I love that. Then when someone comes up and goes, oh man, you make me want to throw away my guitars. I'm like, no, don't do that. Pick them up and play.
Having you on here, Larry, and listening to these records the past 2 weeks is exactly what this show is all about, inspiring other musicians to play their instruments.
Cool. All right. Very cool.
It's really cool. Now, unfortunately, since we lost your other camera, we're not going to be able to look at your other instruments unless you bring them to us.
Oh, I can walk around now until the battery dies.
I
do you
don't
wanna
think you can't, because I don't have that. I don't have that video. All I have is the audio from that.
What happened to the video?
I only have the video that's right in front of you. I don't know. It's gone. Like maybe someone tried to call you or something. Now I have your avatar. And now I have nothing.
Ben's funny. Ben says I can go either way. I can be inspired or I can sell it all. That's great.
Hey, Larry Fitzgerald.
Hey, Larry.
Hey, Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, this is so bizarre. Yeah, there's no way to do this, huh?
No, not on my end anyway. I have you in, but it's just a blank screen.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay.
Night of the Living Larrys. That's right, Terry.
Larry Fitzgerald is probably one of the best luthier builders, guitar builders, technicians, repair guys. Probably the best fret job guy on the East Coast, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's time to bring Larry Fitzgerald back on Nez Says, Dave.
Yeah, Larry, when do you want to come back? We're starting to work on January, so think of anything other than the first Thursday of January.
Larry Mitchell, I'd love to hear more about that Les Paul that's in the foreground there.
That is a custom shop R7, R8
R8.
Wow.
that Dave helped me pick out. We went through. I don't know how many we went through them before.
At least 10. At least 10 guitars.
from
All at
that
the music
one
zoo.
shop. Yeah,
Yeah.
but there was we went to I went to a couple other places first before I found Dave to help me. It's great. It's got a great feel. It sounds great. I use it for recording a lot. I use that Tele. If you can see that over there.
What's the story on that Tele?
That is from a local guy here in Opelika who played slide, and it's a road worn Tele.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can put this in my pocket because the microphone's on the cable. It's a road worn Tele. It's I can't see what the picture camera picks up. It had a Bigsby on it, and he replaced it with a Joe Barton bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got those Analog Man Tele pickups in it,
Oh, wow.
which they're not made by. They're made by somebody else, aren't they?
I don't know.
There's a guy in Richmond, Virginia, I believe.
And Larry, do you put a Telecaster on all your records? Do you find a place for a Tele on all your records?
Except the acoustic records, yes.
Yep.
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 Oh yeah. I have another Ibanez Tele, and then I had a different Fender Tele here for a while. That's on everything. And then there's the double neck. Can you see that? I can't tell what you guys can see.
Yeah, we could see the double neck and the Chenna.
Yeah, okay,
I
cool.
want to learn more about the Chenna too.
Yeah, the Chin is great. Hollow body. It's just huge sounding guitar. It's huge. So huge that when I play it, I actually need to make a different preset for the fractal for a song that I'm going to play the Tele on. I mean the Chenna on. It is really huge sounding. It hits the front of the amp harder because I'm playing stacked single coils in the Satch track pickup in the bridge on my model, but it definitely hits everything harder. I don't know how to describe it. It's a great guitar, really great guitar. It's one of the few guitars where I took it on the road a bunch, and then I'm usually not the one that goes, "All right, I can't take this on the road. It's too nice to take on the road." If I'm going to use it, it's a tool, and I play it. But I decided that I didn't really want to take it on the road anymore. It's got a couple of dings on it, and I was like, it's too amazing. And it's the first Nags I got. I got this. I was playing in a band called Southern Fried Funk, right? I think that's the band.
Yep.
And I got this to play in that band while Joe Nags was made. He built this one while we were waiting for my logo to come in. The silhouette that's on my model.
The fish.
He's actually built this before that guitar. And it's great. And there's Chicken, my drummer, on Tuesday nights. Squirrel, my bass player. Can you see Squirrel's pedal board?
Oh yeah,
Oh, it's so fun. It's got an H9 on it.
That's awesome.
Oh, and an AX8.
Oh, an AX8. Yep. That's great.
It's my old rig. Squirrel has my old rig. It's playing bass through it. It's got a little Fender bass. There's a new Christmas tree. And then I got the cool Inky case, and it has the Kanai J. Can you see that?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Cool. Dave, you have a J.
I do. It's sitting right in front of me.
Cool. And then this is the Quantum Industries case, which I got this year, and this has my models in it. There's the main guitar.
Oh yeah,
I use this a lot on Shadows of the Soul, and I use the green one. I use this green one. Oops. quite a bit as well.
How different do those guitars sound, Larry?
The brown one and the black one sound very similar, except the black one is brighter. This one has a roundness to it, and it's semi-hollow, and it is just round. All I could tell you is that it's a bluesier sounding guitar.
Cool.
Nothing wrong with that.
Then there's the rig. I got to be careful because I have some stuff in here that is how you say beta testing,
Beta testing.
and it should not end up on the internet.
I hear you.
But this, the Air Step, and there's the so this is where I do the Tuesday Night Live stuff, and I used the FM3 and a lot of the AXA. I mean the AXA, the Axe-Fx 3 for the electric record, and the Axe-Fx 3 pretty much solely for the acoustic record. There's Care. So, I think that was it that I have out. I had the other Ibanez guitars out last week, but I didn't leave them out. I got a low battery here, Dave. I'm gonna have to unplug for a second. I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
You can.
Okay.
Yep.
You can hear us? Larry, can you hear us? We can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
There he is.
Very good.
Got him.
Very good. Okay. So yeah, great stuff. By the way, here's my Kanai J.
That's
There you go.
amazing, Dave. What's the pickup? What's the pickup in that Kanai J, Dave?
It's a Seymour Duncan P90 style. I don't know exactly what they call it. This one's out of tune. I'm sorry.
Antiquities.
Oh, it's an Antiquity. There you go. Yeah, it's a great guitar. Really one of my favorites.
I love the wraparound.
Yeah. Yeah, wraparounds are cool. It's there's a certain sound to it. You can take that any way you want.
Certainly is.
But
Certainly is.
it's very cool.
No, it's cool.
I have I have another guitar with that same wraparound bridge, the predecessor to that guitar. You know what I'm talking about, and yeah, and it's a very special guitar. Sounds
Which guitar?
very good. Yeah,
Which guitar?
it's an older PRS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sounds great, plays great, and it's got a lot of miles on it. Very, very dependable guitar.
Cool. Very, very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Guitars are awesome. Guitars are awesome.
Yeah, especially when they connect with the player. You know, kind of like what you were saying earlier about, when the voice of the player and the voice of the guitar meet, and there's a synergy between the two, there's some magic that can really happen.
All right, how are you guys holding up?
How are you holding up?
I'm starting to get there.
Okay, so let's say goodnight and thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
it's always amazing. It's always amazing to have you on here with us, Larry. It's entertaining. We learn a bunch of things. The songs are great.
Thank you.
It's always a great hang.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you're very generous, Larry. I mean, there's two records that you shared with us the last couple of weeks. You know, the record that we talked about tonight, The Light Within, and the record that we talked about last week, Shadows on the Soul. All of you, Larry Mitchell, he's an artist. He's an originator. He's a maker. He's a creator. Support this man's art. There are so many gifts to receive out of what this man makes. I encourage you all, Dave, and I encourage you all to 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 take it in, to endorse this, to buy these records. There's a lot to get out of it.
Thank you, Ty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, everybody.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, awesome again. Everyone in the chat, thanks for joining us. Ty, thank you so much. Always, it's always amazing. I know we had a close call tonight, but everything worked out great.
Just fun.
Yeah. Next week we have Dave Davidson from the owner of what was the Songbird Museum in Chattanooga. He has a vintage guitar store called Well-Strung Guitars. He'll be here with us next week. Then we'll be taking 2 weeks off. We'll be taking Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve off. And the following week we will have the amazing Josh Smith with us.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
check it all out. Everyone, we'll see you next week and have a great holiday season. But come back next week. We'll have a great show for you.
Happy
Thanks.
Hanukkah and Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Thanks again, everybody. We will see you
Thank you.
soon.
Thank you all. God bless.
Bye-bye.